This board is very expensive and not all that commonly used. You will see it in the clinic. Transfer boards are used to get a person from point A to point B. So people call them sliding boards. We're not supposed to slide on them. If we slide, we're increased risk for shearing the skin. So when we use transfer boards like this, it's a lift place technique. Sometimes people can't lift in place. They're very weak in their upper extremities. And so there may be an element of sliding, although we're not supposed to do that. This is called a Beasy board, the brand name. This board has a disc, and it's like a Lazy Susan. So if you have a person who can't lift in place and they are at risk for shearing, this is a nice product. So they have very little trunk control. This is a nice product. I'll show you how it works. Mrs. Carver? Yes, ma'am. What's it called again? This brand is a Beasy board. B-E-A-S-Y. Okay, so I've already prepared the environment. I have the chair at a 30 to 40 degree angle in the direction of the transfer. So I'm going to have my client, I have a placer there, she may not be able to do that. I'm going to place the board under her. When we do placing the board, we have a person lean in the opposite direction of board placement. And keep in mind, we may have to give assist if they have pursuing balance. The board is placed mid buttock and thigh. We're going to place about a quarter of the board under the person. Sorry, that's okay. Mid buttock and thigh. Now we're going to have her sit back on the board. Now I should make sure that her feet touch and everything before we put the board under her, or we're going to have to start all over again. The remainder of the board goes in the direction of the transfer. I'm going to instruct the client to lean in the direction of transfer. Never, never, never have a person rock on a transfer board. Rocking can make the board shift. So we'll have her lean in the direction of transfer. So Holly, what we're going to do is we're going to go from point A to point B, and from the mat to the chair. This board's going to act like a bridge for you to help you safely get where you want to go. So in this case, you're just going to move your hips like so, and the board's going to come with you. I can help her if she needs help. Okay, so move, you're just going to scoot your hips forward. That's right, just wiggling your hips forward. Stuffing the tire. Okay. This should go with her, but she had super glue on her pants. So it typically moves really. I think the wheel got you stuff or something. Yeah. So you can try this one. It's not going to be only practical. But, I've only seen it in a couple of clinics, but it is a nice product to use, especially if you have a person who has issues with shearing.
Ms. Crawford, you said it was push in place?
So with this, she's moving her hips.
Right. But
Or if she can't move her hips, I just will use her body. I will move her body with the gait belt, and the disc will follow. It's like a Lazy Susan. It's just going to follow. You can try it and see how it
because
feels.
we don't rock, we
No.
place.
Lift in
Lift
place,
in
not with the Beasy board. The
Right.
Beasy board is not a lift in place. The Beasy board is like a Lazy Susan. It just, you have the person move their hips, and it follows, or you move them on the disc. With a traditional transfer board, where there are different sizes, you'll see there are different lengths and different materials. The handles are for placement of the board. It's for the client to be able to be independent or modified independent. So they use this to place the board as they become more independent. When we place the board under the client, we tell them not to wrap their fingers around the board or in the handles. If they wrap their hands around the side, as they shift their weight, they're going to crush their fingers. So we'll instruct them not to do that. So I've already set the environment up. Holly knows what we're going to do. Holly, I need you to scoot a little closer. You want to create as little distance between point A and point B as possible. Let's work. Again, we're going to have Holly lean away from where she's transferring to. We're going to put, and I might have to hold her, remember. I'm going to put the board mid buttock and thigh, about a quarter of the board, have her come back on it. I'm going to have her place her hands flat on the board. As we move Holly, you can move your hands along the board. When this side of the board becomes available, I want you to put your other hand on it. Keep in mind that cognitive levels are going to vary, and your patients may need more or less instruction. Holly's now going to lean in the direction of transfer. I'll be giving assist as needed. Hopefully at some point I'll step away and she'll be doing the whole thing on her own. That would be modified independent, right? So I'm going to say she's in assist. Holly, I want you to look in the direction of transfer. I want you to start lifting and placing. Lift your body. Here you go. Lift, place. Lift, place. All the way down. Good. Now lean up. That's right. Lean up. Away from me and pull the board out. Now she's safely in her seat. Going on an incline downward is easy. Going up is a little harder. So you might find that getting a person in bed is more challenging than getting them out of bed. Or getting them on the toilet is more challenging than getting them off the toilet. So, or the opposite, depending on the surface they're transferring to and from. So that's a transfer board. You can transfer her using the transfer board to any surface. And I want you guys to try using toilet. We're going to use the shower, the tub bench, and go on off the mat. And you should also do different pathologies that have more special considerations, like your cabbages, because they cannot push. And your hips, your posterior hips, which we're concerned about because they have to keep their leg out when they go up and down when we're doing mobility, right? The transfer board is not typically used with posterior hips or anterior hips. It's not typically used. It's used with amputations, spinal cord injuries, and sometimes with the general population who are really, really fearful of mobility and we just want to start getting them moved. So think about a 400-pound guy who's been in the bed for 6 weeks. Using a transfer, Hoyer lift, mechanical lift, is not therapeutic. And we want them to start getting used to moving. Sometimes we use it for other things like that too. A person we need to get them moving, pushing, and going from point A to point B.
And you said not typically used with hip replacements?
It can be used with anyone the therapist thinks is appropriate.
Okay.
But you typically don't see them used for like a total hip. But you might have someone who they're in rehab and they won't stand. And you can't get them standing and you need to get them moving. The problem with using transfer boards are the leaning creates internal rotation and adduction. And so we're concerned about that for that posterior hip and the anterior hip for adducting and internal rotation. So we have to be really mindful of those kind of things. So it's not optimal to use it with them. So when you are transferring the client to and from surfaces, like maybe you're transferring them into a chair, outside of a wheelchair, or the bed, or a bedside commode, particularly when you guys are practicing for me for practicals, let one surface be stable where it doesn't move. If you start moving two things together, you're going to get really goofed up with your angles for transfers, and you can wind up in a pickle. For example, you'll see students angle this and that, and then next thing you know, we've got angles that don't promote optimal transfer. So we're going to let this be stable. You can reposition your chair and your patient as often as you need to for safe transfer. One of the last things you want to do before you transfer is recheck your brakes. Sometimes therapists will unlock the brakes and reposition because it's too close or too far away, and then forget to lock the brakes again. And that means that a person. James, were you in a situation where you were sliding out of the chair? Okay. So he can attest to that when the students tried transferring James, they repositioned him and didn't lock the brakes. And as they were transferring him out of a chair that had no brakes, James, as a healthy male, was struggling not to fall. The chair was coming out from under him as he was being moved, so he had difficulty getting his balance and getting his footing. So you can talk to him more about how scary that was.
Yes, it was.
It's pretty scary.
so he was the victim. So you always want to check your brakes. So you might have to unlock him a couple times just to make sure it's right. So we're going to approach this as this is a stable item that I'm transferring to. Now, when I transfer her, I'm going to transfer her how? What's the angle?
30.
In the direction of transfer, right? So she should be looking at the toilet. So sometimes students will do things like this. And they'll go, it's 30 degrees, well maybe it is, but it's not in the direction of transfer. We're not transferring to the floor. She should be looking at where she's going. Okay? So remember that. You should see where you're going. So I